High School and Bloomington students has to offer, and these students will no doubt go on to achieve even greater acclaim in the future. I invite the following students to come up and join me at the podium. Ian Cook, Zach George, Sophia Gleason, Madeline Haas, Henry Hellstrom, Isaac Kasahara, Daniel Schrank, Isabel Taylor, and Michelle Wang. I know not all of them are here, but if you are on this list, come and join me up here, please. All right. These National Merit Scholarship commended students placed among the top 5% of all high school students in the country who underwent this rigorous testing process. Jefferson High School is proud to announce these 9 students as earning National Merit Commended status. Congratulations.
Since there's only 2, could you tell us which 2 they are?
Introduce yourself.
I'm Danielle.
I'm Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're buying some time. Good job.
Make sure Jim gives you the right one.
Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations. I have 4 other students that I would like to present to you this evening. And with these students, please join me at the podium if you are here. Robert Martz, Connor Meany, Ashley Neuenfeld, and Sherry Wang. Come on up. Very nice. These 4 students are among the top 1% of all high school students in the country. These National Merit Scholarship semifinalists are continuing their pursuit of National Merit Scholarship awards, and they will continue to compete for these distinctions and college scholarships. Good luck and congratulations.
Too, if
Oh yeah, come on. You're on TV. You're on mic.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Robert.
I'm Sherry.
Thank you.
Well done. Bloomington Jefferson High School is extremely proud of all of these students, and we are thankful to them for their hard work and dedication, and to all of their families for their dedicated support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the parents also. Congratulations to them. A requirement of our 12th grade government classes is to observe a governmental meeting of some sort. Things that they may attend are city council meetings, school board meetings, and courtroom proceedings. The social studies curriculum guide identifies essential standards, one of which is to understand the role and influence of political processes and organizations by examining the role of interest groups, think tanks, the media, public opinion on the political process and public policy formation. I'd like to invite any students that are here for their government class to come forward, state your name. I know you're all from Jefferson, and just tell us who your teacher is. And at the close of the session, or after 1 hour, you can ask for a signature on your agenda from our cabinet members that are on the side.
Hi, my name is Bryn Rudy. I go to Jefferson, and my teacher is Daniel Storleen.
Hi, my name is Becky Price, and my teacher is Miss Abby.
Hi, my name's Renee Pebbles, and my teacher is Mr. Storleen.
I'm Abby Davern, and my teacher is Mr. Storleen.
Hi, I'm Megan Freeberg, and my teacher is Mr. Storleen.
Hi, I'm Melissa Linda, and my teacher is Mr. Storleen.
Hi, I'm Chanel Young, and my teacher is Mr. Storleen.
Hi, I'm Nathan Limberg, and my teacher is Daniel Storleen.
Hi, I'm Caleb Lexfold, and my teacher is Mr. Storleen.
Hi, I'm Nick Wallace, and my teacher is Storleen.
Hi, I'm Abdi, and my teacher is Storleen.
Thank you. Thank you for attending tonight. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come forward to talk to the board about a matter that's not on the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to Part A. Would someone like to move Part A?
Moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Part A is our board business, minutes, personnel items, field trips, and contracts. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. It brings us to Part B. And first up is the approval and ratification of the 2015-17 negotiated contract between ISD 271 and the Bloomington Federation of Teachers. Would someone like to move that resolution? Please.
Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves and ratifies the 2015-17 negotiated contract between Independent School District 271 and the Bloomington Federation of Teachers.
Second.
Our Executive Director of Human Resources, Mary Burrows, our Executive Director of Finance, Rod Zivkovich, Wendy Marchek, and Chris Dollison are here to talk about the resolution before us.
Okay, Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, and members of the school board. I am bringing forward a resolution to approve the newly ratified teacher contract. Included in the tentative agreement are things are listed such as 1.5% increase steps 2 to 11 for both years of the contract. In addition, the agreement includes the following. There's an addition of a step 13, which is $350 over step 12 in the BA lanes and $1,250 over step 12 in the MA lanes each year. There's increase to Schedule C and E of 1.5% in the 16-17 year. Increase to longevity of $250 step 18 and $300 to steps 23 to 28. Length of time to obtain longevity for community ed hourly teachers reduced to 15, 20, and 25 years. Clarification of some languages, such as hire date, professional development language. Previously agreed to out-of-network and out-of-pocket maximums for health insurance were adjusted, as well as district health insurance contributions to HSAs. We also did addition or modification to MOUs, including advisory committee and Federation president release time, as well as other housekeeping changes of, keeping the dates current in the contract and going back and changing and adjusting those things. So at this time, I'm recommending approval.
Thank you. Do you want to say anything?
Before or after you approve?
Either way. You want to
I'll
wait
wait
till
till you
after?
approve.
Wait, okay. So, does anybody have any questions? Comments? Thank you.
I'm having a really hard time with this one. We've spent a long time working on this contract. And I'm trying to be somewhat careful and respectful of everyone in the process and not, interrupt what could happen because we have to start this over again in 6 months. But what I'd like to say is I hope next time, when we come to this in 6 months, one of the big issues that I have with the way that this one came about is we kept comparing percentage increase instead of looking at what actual fair salary is. And so that was a big sticking point for me, is to say, well, if so-and-so got 2%, I should get 2%, but we aren't actually looking at what does that mean in cost in terms of dollars. And so I went back through some of my emails because we did receive some emails from teachers who were comparing their contracts to other districts. And they were saying, well, at 1%, what you're offering me, I'm still below this other district. And at 2%, what we're offering them, they're also still below another district. But then if you look on a different cell, well, they're already above another district. And so it seems like our contract is just out of balance. And I know we tried to address that to some extent in this round. I don't know that the people who sent me emails before saying, well, even at 2%, I'm still below the neighboring district, they're probably still not happy. The people that are way above are probably like, this is great, except, if we end up doing cuts, maybe they'll be the ones that leave. I don't know. And so I'm hoping that when we come back to this in 6 months, that the conversation is different than it was this time. So that's, I was up at 3:30 in the morning trying to think of what to do today, and so that's just my comment. I mean, I don't plan on stomping my feet and protesting, but I just want to say I don't think that. I think even though the teachers approved it, I don't know that they're overwhelmingly like yippee this is great. And I think that even if we approve it, we aren't thinking, well, this is great either. And so hopefully, the next round, we can, I don't know exactly how to do it, but change the conversation so that way everybody can at least come away feeling good about what happened.
Anyone else? Director Bennett.
Well, first, I just want to thank everyone involved, everyone that worked on this contract on both sides, the administration and the teachers. I know that everyone worked hard, and there were many sleepless nights and countless hours you guys put into it. And I also want to thank Director Steigauf and Paul Meyer, who were also involved. Since this is some new things in here, I wonder if you can speak more about the advisory committee and the president, or the federation president release time. That's for people that are watching, because I know people are interested in this contract. So can we explain those a little bit, please?
Presidential release time, it was in the contract previously as a half presidential release, so we moved it to a full-time presidential release. So Wendy is able to take a full-time release from her previous position to be president of the unit. So we moved from a half-time to a full-time presidential release. The costs are split between the district and the unit. So that's that one. Any other questions on that?
Yeah, the advisory committee.
Okay, no, the advisory committee is a joint committee between the district and the unit, chaired by the superintendent and the president of the federation, and I think 3 other people of their choosing. The first committee meeting will be before December, and it's to talk about various topics. So, and that's all that I really know about the committee, because that's as farther, we haven't had the first meeting, so.
So this was proposed by the teachers, the advisory committee, which was something that I was in favor for the first time I heard of it back in, I guess it was May. So I just want to hear from the teachers, what do you guys hope to gain from this advisory committee? Ideal situation, what would you like to see happen?
Basically, during negotiations, I think our frustration came out as far as we feel like we don't actually have much of a voice in the educational programming of the district. And looking at the programs that we do have, are they working? And we have an expertise in that area, so we'd like to be consulted, and also how it rolls out in a classroom. And so this was a way for us to at least have an avenue to bring up some of those topics. That was the frustration that I've received from my members, not just this contract, but that's been a trend. So this is one way that we can maybe look at the direction of our district together.
Okay, well, I think that there's potential for greatness here. I mean, as a board member, I would like to hear from the teachers on these issues. I like what I've seen here right now with teachers and administrators sitting at that table together.
So would we.
And I'd like to see more of that. I don't think the only time I see Chris is when you're bringing a contract to me. I'd like to see you guys work together on things and make, presentations to the board. But my fear of this committee, and as I was saying, I was for it from the beginning, is that it could be a vehicle for greatness, but before this can work, we have to work on relationships.
Yep.
So this is what I would like. I would like some relationship building in this advisory committee. I think before you guys start looking at proposals and initiatives, that there should be some type of facilitated conversation with someone from outside the district to look at building relationships and team building and some conflict resolution and some restorative justice, if anything, because this relationship was fractured when I got here, and it's gotten worse since I've been here. And if we cannot fix this relationship, I don't see it getting any better. So that's what I'm hopeful of, and same with the full-time president release. Because I think the rest of this district, they model how they should treat each other by the top models that. So there should be a relationship between the leader of this district and the leader of the teachers. And I've talked to both of you about that, and I'm going to keep talking about it because I think that it's about the relationship. And I would like to see the two of you come together with some sort of relationship and start talking to each other, and hopefully that we can start, closing this divide between BFT leadership and administration. So those are my comments. Again, I want to thank everybody who was involved in this, and was a long time, but I'm glad we're here, and I think this is a good contract. I think it addressed what was out of balance with our contract, which Rick alluded to, that we weren't really rewarding the most senior teachers. So I like the idea of the step 13 and adding to longevity, because we want to reward those teachers and keep them in our district. We don't want teachers that are here 25 years leaving. So that's it.
Tom, I'd like to clarify, the one thing I think it's important is you are Superintendent Fujitaki's boss, and my members are my boss. And so I just want to make that clear, so no matter what, I do represent them. It doesn't always matter just what I want.
Okay.
So
I'm fully aware.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you like a summary of the information as far as the votes? Would that be helpful at all?
Well,
Or Jim?
Jim wants to.
I just have a question similar to follow up on that. So in addition to an advisory committee, is there still a meet and confer in the contract, a committee for meet and confer, and a labor management committee also? So we have three, now we might have three committees of maybe similar members discussing issues.
There is still a meet and confer in contract. The Labor Management Committee is not running right now. We do have an insurance committee that's running, when I think our
Identified
first
as-
meeting is Wednesday.
Identified as insurance committee.
Yeah.
Okay, then the second question I have is, as Director Bennett was discussing, there are 7 collective bargaining units, all of which have leaders which represent those particular groups also. So I think it would be inclusive to add to whatever relationship building comes about with all 7 collective bargaining groups.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair?
Please.
Just quickly, I'd like to say thanks to everybody that put energy and effort into this contract. It took quite a while to get it to this particular spot tonight. That said, I do have some concerns. My concerns are with sustainability of the money that we're spending on this. I looked into my crystal ball, and it's not clear. We're still scheduled to give cuts. We're still scheduled to make cuts, and we're past the original bargaining parameters that the board started with. So my concern is financial, really nothing else. So I appreciate the energy and the effort that's gone into this, but I feel compelled to share that concern.
Anyone else? We'll have your comment after, I guess. We'll vote. Director Bennett, you want to start? We'll do roll call.
Yes.
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 Madam Chair, I have to say that I have to abstain, and I must give the details of why I am abstaining, because by law I have to do it. So according to Minnesota Statute 471.88, Subdivision 21, since I am a spouse of one of the members, teacher in the district, I have to abstain from voting to approve the contract.
Thank you.
My vote is no.
Thank you. So the resolution passes, and now we will let you make your statement.
I was just going to give you, I don't know if you have the information on just the vote in general, that we had 745 members vote. We're a little over 900 now. 569 were yeses and 167 were noes, which is 1 out of 4 voted no. And this isn't typical. Usually we have a passing rate of high 80s, low 90s. I too wanted to acknowledge my team, Chris Tollefson, Jeff Bunkert, our co-chairs, and the rest of our team. It was a long 15 months, and this isn't their full-time job, so they had 2 full-time jobs for a while. For us, we don't view this as an end, but rather a starting point. as a way to get heard. We also know that the community has been involved in the process, and they're going to have an expectation also that we work hard together to bring the problems that we do have, and not pretend they're not there, but to deal with them together and start to build trust. It became obvious that there was a real lack of trust in this round of bargaining, and to even go into the next round without working on some of those issues, we will just have a repeat. And it's something that our members do not want. This is not the first. The last one before this was also a long one, not 15 months, but it was also grueling. It's a pattern, and we need to change that pattern. And so the community expects us to make some changes and to do some real work, and that means that we have to listen to all the voices. All the voices. So, Chris, do you have anything?
No, I'll concur that, I think, I understand the what transpired over the last 15 months, and I can only imagine as somebody who doesn't live in Bloomington, I can only imagine what residents were thinking as they would see the news reports or in the newspaper, or hear their child, from their child's teacher, or from, watching the school board meetings. And so, I just would reiterate that, yeah, we don't want this. This takes us, the eye is off the prize, which is, the children and students that we serve every day. And so, whether it's through the advisory council, where we can hopefully vet some of these initiatives and other things that come through, I think we recognize your managerial rights and stuff like that. We just want to be able to have it, our voices heard. And then, as Wendy said, there isn't unanimous support of this, but this day gets us to the next step, which is hopefully a more positive thing moving forward. So I guess that's, yeah.
Well, thank you to all of you. Superintendent, do you have anything to say?
I want to thank the teams for reaching an agreement. Congratulations, and look forward to working on the advisory committee and on seeing if we can improve relationships.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next resolution will be approved booster clubs. Would someone like to move that resolution?
Madam
Director
Chair,
Bennett.
we resolve the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the attached list for booster clubs for Kennedy and Jefferson High School for the 2016-17 school year. This resolution is a requirement of Board Policy 510.
Thank you. Rod Zupkovich has stayed around to talk to us about this resolution.
Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, board members. This is a process that we started a few years back when we updated Policy 510. It's just making sure from our insurance perspective that booster clubs that are using our facilities for fundraisers and the rest are properly 503C organizations, and the board has approved them to use our facilities and backed by our insurance.
Okay, are there any questions, comments about this?
I'm sorry, the question about insurance, who's liable?
They fall under our insurance policy for these events.
Our whole district policy for all of this. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will have a resolution regarding graduation exercises 2017.
Madam Chair.
Please.
Be resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 establishes graduation exercises for the 2016-2017 school year on the following dates. Kennedy High School will be Tuesday, June 6th, 2017 at 7 p.m. Jefferson High School will be Wednesday, June 7th, 2017 at 7 p.m. Furthermore, the School Board of Independent School District 271 establishes the location for the 2016-2017 graduation exercises as Mariucci Arena at the University of Minnesota, and approves a facility use agreement with the Regents of the University of Minnesota for the aforementioned date.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And Eric Melby, our Assistant Superintendent, is here to tell us about this.
It's that time of year when we bring the resolution for graduation exercises. Like last year, we're recommending what Director Bergstrom just pointed out, graduation exercises at Mariucci, Kennedy on June 6th, and Jefferson on June 7th. You've got the information in front of you. The costs went up a little bit for Mariucci this year due to a variety of reasons, security, EMTs, just general facility use. But we are recommending going forward, I recommend approval of the resolution.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Superintendent?
Individual graduation costs for the students will be determined as later.
Right.
When we get all the necessary information.
Yep, I think we're bringing fees fairly soon here this fall yet, so.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just quickly, we have scholarships for those who might need for our graduation costs.
Yeah, we work with families to make sure that everybody gets to take part in graduation. The fees that they pay for this generally go towards the facility rental and transportation. Yep.
Okay, great.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Thank you. Next, we're going to have an update on the Pathways Advisory Committee. And Superintendent Melby is going to stay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Superintendent Fujitaki, members of the board.
Try that other microphone. See if it comes through better. Can you hear in the back? Not very well? Sorry. Now you're moving.
Check. How's that?
Number one chair. No.
Number one, better? I want to give a brief update on the Pathways Advisory Committee and make some recommendations for work with the board moving forward. A week ago, last Monday, was the first Pathways Advisory Committee meeting of the year. Part of the agenda was reviewing Policy and Regulation 603, which really talks about the Pathways Advisory Committee and the world's best workforce law that requires us to have a Pathways Advisory Committee. And the discussion that night centered on, I think it's fair to say, frustrations from at least some members of that committee as to the purpose of the committee and the scope of the work. And so the committee took a vote and is formally asking the school board to clarify the scope and purpose of the committee. My recommendation is that when we have our board retreat on October 18th, that be an agenda item for the board retreat, so we can have a more, lengthy and robust discussion about purpose and scope of the Pathways Advisory Committee, so that the board can give that information back to the committee. I met with the two teachers on special assignment, Rachel Jens and Jenna Mitchler, along with Marcia, our co-chair of the committee, and have agreed to schedule another Pathways Advisory Committee for November 7th so that we can bring the information from the board back to the committee on November 7th. And that's really my update tonight.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have a question for Mr. Melby? Please.
I don't have a question, but I am the board representative for that committee, so I was present that night, and I just want to say that I support the recommendation.
Thank you.
So I guess the question was, did it appear like the scope had changed since, right? I mean, I know it used to be District Curriculum Advisory Committee, and so was the question that they just felt like they were doing a different job, or were we asking them to do different things, or, I mean, I know we'll get into further discussion, but just a preview.
I think my experience with that committee is a year and change, and I wasn't at the meeting, unfortunately, Monday night, so I wasn't a part of that discussion. But I do think it's an ideal time to help give direction in terms of the scope and the purpose of the committee back to the committee members. I think that, at least from my experience last year, it's a committee that has very good members who want to be helping to advise the board as the purpose of the committee, I believe, is, and not just kind of serve as a sit and get kind of committee. So I think when we have our retreat on the 18th, we can put that thought into action that we can bring back to that committee on November 7th. And it's really it's been needed, and it's a time to help refocus the Pathways Advisory Committee.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
That brings us to our board member reports. Director Sorm.
Thank you. I participated in our CSAC meeting, the Special Education Advisory Committee meeting, another one of our many advisory committee meetings, parent advisory committee that we have for the board. And we discussed goals for 2016-17, and also, as always, is the question about increasing membership and getting more participation from a variety of the parents who are involved with special education. Secondly, I did attend on a busy Monday night that we had about 4 different meetings here, along with some sports activities, the candidate forum, and that wasn't as well attended. There's almost as many at that meeting as there was at the World's Best Workforce Pathways Committee meeting. I guess something to do with Viking football or something might have been a reason to have some. But it was, we still have activities going on here all the time, and it's good to see people participating. And then last Saturday was a youth homeless forum over at Kennedy High School. And it was conducted by Radius guests, the extraordinaire, I should say, family engagement extraordinaire at Kennedy. And we talked about homelessness, and there's about 50 people in attendance that range from representatives of various agencies to parents to teachers to some clergy. And it's getting to be a significant enough problem that we have to spend more time doing it. I know the faith community has gotten involved, and there's other agencies that we have on the agenda at various times to hear about what we might be able to do this. School's responsibility has some responsibility, the city has some, the county and the state and so forth. But it was a good chance for everybody to get together and talk about some of the potential solutions to homelessness, especially in Bloomington. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Don?
I had a chance to attend the Osen Elementary White Tiger Rally. They had the induction of the safety patrols that day, and they did their first PBIS awards for the year. And then I think the highlight was 2 of the teaching staff did a little sample of a Minute to Win It game that I think is going to be, if I understand it correctly, going to be rewards in the future where students can do Minute to Win It against a staff person. So this time they just had 2 staff to kind of show how it's going to work, but the students loved it. It was crazy in there when they were doing their game, which was, of course, very silly. I also attended the District Diversity Advisory Committee. There was kind of an overview of what the plans will be for this year. The building reps had a chance to share what's going on in their buildings. Also talking about planning for the future when we need to do the new achievement and integration plan that we'll have to, I think it expires in the near future, and we'll have to redo that. Also, the Bloomington Human Rights Commission is having American Indian Heritage Month in November. And there will be a traveling exhibit that's called Why Treaties Matter that will be there at City Hall from November 2nd to 9th, and then again from the 15th to the 30th. And on November 15th at 7 p.m., they will also have Dr. Don Bartlett, who his speaking, what he talks about, he calls it, I think he has a book too, it's called Macaroni at Midnight. I also know that he was our Diversity Day speaker for our schools, Jefferson and High School, a number of years ago, and was very well received there. So if you have a chance to go hear it again, that's 7 p.m. November 15th at City Hall also. And then they also have the Human Service Department from the city is doing the Olmsted Plan, that is housing and services. That is Tuesday, November 1st at 6:30 p.m. And this is regarding housing for people with disabilities. Olmsted Plan Housing and Service section provides a person with a disability the opportunity to be offered an informed choice to live in an integrated setting. So there's more information about that. So that concludes it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chair?
Go ahead.
I don't want to step in if anyone else is going. All right, they had an opportunity to attend the Kennedy academic lettering ceremony. It was in the morning. I want to say it was early last week, and Kennedy awards a letter, and it would be a letter that goes on your letter jacket for a GPA of 3.5 or higher. For those that are second-time award winners, you get a little pin that goes on the letter, that goes on your letter jacket. I think it's a great idea to help promote the academics that should be at the core of what we're doing here in school. I also attended a insurance meeting for Intermediate District 917. We're just finishing the first year of fully funded insurance for both. Well, they had fully funded dental. This year is health, and it's the numbers are trending positive. So it looks like it's just turning out to be a good move for 917. For those of you, I won't go into it, but for those of you that understand insurance, the first year that you go into fully funded, you need to have a little bit more from the participants to build up your reserves. So it seems to be working out well. Attended the PTSA candidate forum. Want to say thank you to all the people that make that possible. And I also want to say, thank you, and I also want to say I'm sorry I couldn't stay for the whole thing. I had 3 different meetings scheduled that evening, and so I was kind of making pit stops at each one. But I do appreciate the energy and the effort that went into that, and I know the candidates enjoy those. They enjoy fielding the questions, they enjoy meeting the public, they enjoy sharing their concerns. So I know it works both ways. Excuse me. Had the opportunity to meet our new student school board reps. Tom Bennett, Rick Oliva, and I are on that committee, and I'm sure Rick will want to go over the specifics of it, but it's nice to meet these students. There's one from Kennedy, one from Jefferson, and they'll be joining us at this very table the 4th Monday this month, and I'm not sure what the actual date is, but it'd be interesting to see those students here with a microphone, with a computer, ready to participate in the conversation. And we've been looking forward to that. We talked that out for quite a while last year, and finally came up with this format. So tune in, and you'll see school board reps sitting at the table with us. Attended Intermediate District 917 board meeting. That was on a different day than the insurance meeting. One of the highlights for that particular board meeting was a coworker of mine. Her name is Deb Clerk. She's retiring from the board after, I have the resolution here, after 13 years and 4 months. Deb initially came to fill a vacancy that was 6 months. She meant to be there for just 6 months and ended up staying 13 years and 4 months. So she was wonderful, is wonderful, wonderful coworker, sits right next to me, to my right, at that board table. So congratulations to Deb. Went to the same forum that Jim went to at Kennedy for the youth homelessness. It turns out that at any particular given time during the year, there are no less than 4,080 youth that are homeless in the state of Minnesota. That was really, really interesting conversation. If you're interested in knowing more about perhaps what you can do to donate your time, if you have an extra $1 or something like that you want to donate, the liaison here in our district is Suzanne Paolu. I'm sorry, Suzanne, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. She's the Bloomington Public School homeless liaison. So you can send questions and comments to her if you'd like to just find a way to help out. Had an opportunity to help out as a volunteer. We had our, get this right, we had our booster club, that's it. Our booster clubs approved earlier. I was able to help out as a booster parent, helping out at the girls' swim meet. It was here at Oak Grove just this weekend. I want to say thanks to all the people, all the families, all the kids that come with and help out. There were timers in the pool. There were people doing the announcing, people doing the scoring. I worked the concession booth trying to catch the people in and out. So they had to walk past me twice. And I just want to say thanks to all the people that make those events happen. They happen primarily with volunteers. And you don't need to know how to run a timer. We'll fill you in. We'll get you going as soon as you get there. So it's a fun way to connect. It's a fun way to meet people. It's a fun way to get involved in what's going on in our after-school events. So many thanks to those folks for helping out. And just one more quick reminder of school bus safety. I want to make sure that everyone takes a little bit extra time. Please put your phones down in the morning and in the afternoon, and make sure that you're paying attention to driving through the parking lots. Nothing is so important that you want to rush through our parking lots and through the bus stops. Make sure we want to keep those kiddos safe. So thank you very much for your attention to that. That's my report.
Thank you. Director Leva.
Director Bergstrom reminded me of something of school bus safety. I'd like to also remind parents, if you see the school bus coming and your child is late, don't send them running into the street in front of the school bus. Please wait for the school bus to stop, set out his stop arm, stop traffic. The bus driver will then look both ways, make sure no cars are coming, and tell you when it's safe for your child to cross the road. I've seen this twice now in the past month, and I almost want to run into the street like Superman and stop the kids, but I figured I'll just make the situation worse. Okay, so we met with the board Student Advisory Council Committee, met with the two new student reps. We'll have Allie Anderson and Ethan Skophammer. I think Allie's from Jefferson, Ethan's from Kennedy. Or the other way around, it's one or the other. The idea is that starting October 24th, the expectation, and we'll outline this more at the official meeting when we introduce them, but the idea is we will have students at the board table with us. It will be expected that they participate in the conversations that we have. And so the idea here is we've had the Youth Advisory Council for quite a while, and it was a way for the school board to interact with the students. But a lot of times it was seen as sort of a form of tokenism where you say, okay, well, we say we're going to meet with students, so we go meet with the students. And then what we'd hear from them afterwards is, say, yeah, it was a nice conversation, but we don't see the benefits of anything that happened from this meeting. And we'd like to have more meaningful involvement in our schools. And so it's great to be able to maybe help plan pep fests and things like that. And prom, we'd also like to have a say in things that affect us directly, like curriculum and things of that nature, and policies that would affect them. So what we've done now is the student reps will be at the board table. They'll be able to take information from the board table back to their respective student governments. Student reps will also be the chairs of our Youth Advisory Committee, which is now called the Board Student Advisory Committee, or Board Student Advisory Council. And so with that partnership, now you, seniors, will have a greater say in what happens in your daily lives. Now, it might be too late for you because you graduate in a few months, but the change will be real and it will be ongoing. And we've created this foundation now that going forward, there will be a greater student voice in Bloomington. And so we are very excited about this, and I can't wait to get started on October 24th. I am the alternate to our AMSD committee, which is an association of metropolitan school districts. So I was able to go this past Friday. There's a whole lot of great stuff that they talked about. A couple of things related to the Cruz Guzman desegregation and educational equity or educational adequacy lawsuit against the state of Minnesota. There's a couple of committees that they approved, the AMSD participation in Partners for Equity Development, and they also established an ad hoc committee on integration and equity. They wanted to clarify and say that they aren't trying to be interventionists, that they're trying to be just proactive and create recommendations. So take it for, we can take their word for it. They had a legislative committee report. They came out with a list of recommended things that they thought should be part of their legislative platform. I had asked the question, I said, okay, so you have, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 things, maybe a dozen things on here. And one of the things that our legislative committee had talked about is, well, if you have 50 things that you want, it's hard for them to decide what's really important, so should we prioritize it? And I had asked that too, and I said, yeah, so they were asking for feedback from their list of what we want to prioritize. But what they said that they hear from the legislators is AMSD wants something, MSBA wants something, the local school districts want something, the cities want something. Everybody wants something different, and so he said we really need to be encouraged to try to get everybody on the same page. I don't know the best way to do that, but I'm just throwing that out for you that maybe this is something that we reach out and try to find a more collaborative way.
Yes, I totally. As you know, I am part of the, I'm also a member of that legislative committee. So we have been talking a lot about that and, you know, where do we find that common ground and the importance of maybe looking at just one thing, at the big thing, and not the little things, because what we find out through the years is that they don't listen to our requests of the little things. And so that's why we're kind of looking higher now.
Right.
And yeah, we will continue that conversation with our own legislative committee for the board.
Okay. And then they had, the guest speaker was Todd Graham. He's a principal forecaster for the Met Council. It was a 30-minute presentation. The takeaway is that if you could expect about a 4% growth in the age group of, I want to say 4 to 20 per decade. For the next 30 years, per each decade, you can expect a growth of about 4%. So trying to figure that out into your into our budgeting and where we see enrollment going, that's where they are projecting the forecast to go. He also said if I sent him an email, he'd send me the report. I sent him an email. I have not gotten the report for Bloomington because he said he can actually take it, because that's region-wide, so that's for the entire metropolitan region. He said he can put it down to a district-wide, especially if it's contiguous borders, which we are. So once I get that, I'll forward it on to you. Fun one. I visited Westview Elementary in Apple Valley, their District 196. I was invited there by a teacher, actually by Allie's mother. Allie is our student rep. Her mother teaches at that school, and they have a program called Guys Read Book Club. And so it's targeted towards boys because it's a lot harder for them to get the boys to read in elementary school than it is to get the girls to read. And what they do, the funding for it comes for I forget exactly what the funding source is, but it's supposed to get people who would normally be in underrepresented communities access to reading and interventions, and so they're able to do that. But they said I think almost 40 or 50% of their students or of their boys participate. And what they do is every time they have a book, they try to relate it to something in real life. So they had one, oh shoot, I lost the email. Forget the book name. It was about a service dog in Vietnam. And so what they did to correlate it was they brought in a police officer from Apple Valley with the canine unit so the students could see how service dog works, in their community. Well, this particular book was called Honus and Me, about a baseball player in the early 1900s. And they thought it would be fun, because my dad played baseball, if they had him come in and be the person that they can relate the book to. And the fun thing about that is when he starts talking, he likes to just keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and he likes to tell stories. And so one of the things, they said, well, does anybody have a question for Tony? And the first kid says, well, what was your batting average? Were you any good, right? And so he said, that's a very good question. Because I was pretty good. And then he relates it to, he said, but you know how I got good is by practicing. The same way you practice for school, if you come home and you do your homework and you do all the things that your teachers tell you. But then it got even a little bit deeper than that. It was, well, my first year in the minor leagues, I made 19 errors in the outfield. He said, but by, I want to say 1967, I won the Gold Glove. So I went from the worst outfielder to the best outfielder. And the way you do that is by sheer persistence. And just because you're not good now doesn't mean that you won't be good in the future. They also talked about segregation. And he said, it was very strange because as a professional baseball player, especially down in the South, he said, we would go on road trips and the white ball players would stay in the hotel, and then the bus would take us to different families' houses so that we could stay with them, because we weren't allowed to stay in the same hotel as the white ball players. And just thinking, today with all the problems we have today, like you wouldn't imagine, Alex Rodriguez showing up at the Hyatt Regency, and they're like, no, go stay at Fred's house down the street. So he says, we still have a long ways to go. He says, we're 100% better than we were in 1963. But just know that that's not that long ago. And so this topic is still fresh in our minds. And for these kids, these boys were 5th grade boys. And you could just see them just looking at them like, this is a person who lived this, who experienced this. And it really, he could be my grandpa, right? And so that was a fun thing that we did in the last couple of weeks. And that, I believe, concludes my report.
Thank you.
All right, I don't have too much to report, but as you know, I was present at the meeting of the committee, the Pathways Advisory Committee, last Monday, and you already know the details of that, so I won't tell you much about it, but we will have a deep conversation during our board retreat. That's coming soon. And as long as we are talking about safety for our students and especially our little kids, but let's talk about clowns too. Just because that has been a real issue, and just because we have a lot of little kids that are really, really scared, and very, very scared. Really to the point where there's been kids in tears in different schools and different school districts as well. And it is a concern, and it's a concern of safety in the community, not only for the students, but also for the adults. There's some of us that don't like clowns. So just a reminder that if anybody happens to hear anything about clowns showing up somewhere, or even clowns posting stuff on Facebook or any type of social media, please remember to report those to the Bloomington Police Department, or even maybe to our superintendent, so that we can help our kids take care of these and reassure our kids that they are safe in our community. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I have a couple things. I would like to ask for a motion to establish our World's Best Workforce meeting on December 12th at 6 p.m. And that would be from 6 to 7 with our regular meeting following that. Would someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that just falls under the regulations of the World's Best Workforce law. And then we are also going to need to cancel the April 12th, April 10th, 2017 board meeting because it falls during spring break. So would someone like to make that motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Motion to cancel the April 10th, 2017 board meeting. Please vote now. Yes.
Please signify by saying aye, you mean?
Thank you. Let's get it out. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. No opposed. All right, thank you. We'll turn it over to the superintendent.
I'm going to request two motions. The first, administration requests a motion to establish a board retreat on October 18th, 2016 at 6 p.m. to be held at the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. The discussion topics include community relationships and strategic planning.
So moved.
Second.
And pathways?
Pardon me?
Do we have to include?
Well, they would be on the agenda, so. All in favor of the establishment of the meeting on October 18th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
We need another motion to establish meeting dates for the Board Student Advisory Council meeting. The meetings are to be held from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Oak Grove Middle School Media Center. And here are the meeting dates for 2016, October 24th, November 28th. For 2017, it would be January 23rd, February 27th, and March 27th. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of those meetings for the Student Advisory Council, 10/24, 11/28, 1/23, 2/27, and 3/27. Please signify by saying aye.
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 None.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Just real quick on that, I just want to include that, just so board members are aware that it's no longer the expectation that all board members attend those. Those are, if you're free and want to come, you can come, but it's not an expectation. And we've heard feedback from some of the students that it's kind of a little intimidating when there's more adults in the room than students, when it's supposed to be their meeting. So there'll be 3 of us there, Dick and Rick and I will be there. So, you know, if you want some pizza, go and come on by, but don't feel like you have to show up.
We'll try not to be too intimidating.
Maybe we'll bring you a slice if you ask nicely.
Thanks. All right, is there any other business to come before the board this evening? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Yep.